Well, good day, everybody. You should be getting this, I think, on the first Friday of Lent. And we're beginning not just the season of Lent, but a whole season in our school in which we learn not just what we do with our mind in this quiet time, but how to better understand the Gospels. So let me start with the first. We're going to sit together for 15, 20 minutes, I think. The staff told me. Now, if you have never been trained in meditation or contemplation, I know that's a little scary. I'll give you where I'm at now in my life, which is all I can give anybody. And I call my prayer anymore. It's become very rich in recent weeks. Holy gazing. Well, I don't know if it's all holy, but it's gazing. There's glancing, which means a superficial looking, not really paying attention. That's how we live most of our day. We probably have to get through it. There's glaring. That's when you look at something with a judgment, with squinted eyes and mistrust and cynicism. And then there's gazing. Gazing is when you look at what's in front of you and let it be just as it is. You don't need to categorize it, judge it up or down, good or bad, beautiful or ugly, in or out, all the usual categories that black or white, Catholic or Protestant. You don't care about all those things. They don't mean anything. They really don't. But see, we're trained to start with those. And as long as you stay with those, contemplation will never happen. So holy gazing, Opie's here. We can't get him on the screen right now, but that's all right. He goes out with me. There's a little bench over here in the church parking lot. And by late afternoon, there's no one around in this huge parking lot. So I sit there on the bench on milder days anyway. He jumps up and sits next to me. And we just start looking. I think he's less judgmental than I am, because I'm already seeing that there's garbage in the parking lot. There's weeds in the cracks. Last weekend when we sat, I noticed right on the dumpster, the ugly old dumpster, there was sprayed a graffiti, "I love you." I don't know how long that's been here, but I sure never noticed it till last Saturday. "I love you" on the dumpster. You see, when you just gaze without an agenda, without a goal, what happens is your gaze turns into appreciation. That there's something rather than nothing. If there's anything at all, why is there asphalt on the parking lot? Why is there a fence between the church parking lot here and the neighbors next door, which is pretty raggedy right now? There's all kind of reasons to dislike it, but when you stop thinking that your judgment matters, who cares if Richard likes it or doesn't like it, or if it's fixed or unfixed, or old or new? Opie seems to be content with it, so I learn from him too. Animals are probably better at gazing. Well, they're better at glaring too. But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to describe a form of contemplation that doesn't demand eyes shut. In fact, I'm encouraging you to have your eyes wide open, to look at the world, to look at what is. Now you can shut your eyes and still be looking, really, or change between the two. But it's an appreciative gazing, not a critical one. And until it turns to appreciation, even for the dumpster, even for the cracked asphalt, even for the dirty fence, you're not contemplating yet. When it gets to the gratuity, why is there any fence at all? Who made that fence? It really serves its purpose. Thank you, God, for fences. Not, to divide, but to create appropriate boundaries. When you can appreciate the good part of everything, you're beginning to be a contemplative. So the psalm verse that I usually use, and others often use here at the center, is be still and know that I am God. And usually they repeat after me. So I'll ask the couple staff who are here with me to repeat after me, and then we'll sit in holy gazing for a few minutes. And now it won't be boring, because it will fill up with meaning, and even better, with beauty. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Let's slowly come out of our silence. When you do it alone, you can do it longer if you're able. It gets easier. What makes it hard is our resistance to it. But you'll come to understand that. Let me read the first reading for this first Friday in Lent. It's from Isaiah 58. Is this not the fast that pleases me? It is the Lord Yahweh who speaks. To break unjust fetters, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, to share your bread with the hungry, to shelter the homeless poor. Some say that our corporal works of mercy, as we used to call them, came from this verse. To clothe the man who is naked, and to not turn away from your own kin. Then will your light shine like the dawn, and your wound be quickly healed over. Now I read that first before the gospel. Here we have the first Friday of Lent, which is supposed to be a fast day. And we have Jesus being criticized because he and his disciples don't fast. Why is it that we and the Pharisees fast? This is Matthew 9:14-15. We and the Pharisees fast, but you and your disciples do not. Jesus was never an ascetic. He wasn't into harder is better. He was, if it's more true, it's better. But anyway, Jesus replied, surely the bridegroom would never think of mourning. He associates fasting with a kind of sadness. As long as the bridegroom is still here. But the time will come for the bridegroom to be taken away. If you want to fast on that day, you can. But it's certainly no big advertisement for fasting. Why? Because they haven't read Isaiah 58. They still think fasting is an ascetical practice of not eating or drinking or having an ice cream. That would be it for me. Until we understand the fasting that's really needed, Jesus, I think, would basically say, don't worry too much about fasting. Now, if it puts you in solidarity, fasting is solidarity with the children in Gaza who don't have food, and I'm, as an act of love, going to not eat to bind my heart together with their suffering heart, that's good. So always look in a spiritual practice, is it an act of solidarity with the suffering? Then it's okay. If it's just a way for me to feel more holy or strict or conservative or rigid or liberal, I don't care, to feel like anything, you can forget it. He says in Isaiah 58, if you do this, if you do away with the yoke, the clenched fist, the wicked word, if you give bread to the hungry and relief to the oppressed, then your light will shine in the darkness. He will give strength to your bones. You will be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters never run dry. You will rebuild the ancient ruins. You will build up the old foundations. You will be a breach mender, a restorer of ruined houses. This is what we call restorative justice. Not retributive justice. You restore things because your own heart has been restored. And once you feel good about yourself, you're not wallowing in shame and guilt, as so many Christians like to do. Once this heart is restored, you'll almost be driven by nature to want to restore other hearts and other things and other people. So, just a little reflection on today's reading. And I hope you have a good Lent. And I hope these few words and this little practice help you to do that. Thank you.